Oh, Canada, are you dying? The land that was once prosperous and safe, full of opportunity, is now becoming a place people want to escape. Why are more and more citizens, immigrants, and entrepreneurs leaving the country? It's not just because of high taxes or extreme weather, but a series of problems that are eroding everyone's quality of life. Today, I'll show you 10 undeniable reasons why Canada is no longer the ideal country to live in, and why you should consider leaving before it's too late. Number 1. Canada is not a safe country anymore. For a long time, Canada was known as one of the safest countries in the world. Peaceful streets, low crime rates, and a general sense of security made Canada a great place for families and anyone looking for stability. But this image has changed drastically. In recent years, the crime rate in big cities has skyrocketed. Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal are experiencing a surge in robberies, assaults, and violent crimes that were unthinkable 10 years ago. One of the most concerning factors is the rise in random attacks. It's not uncommon to hear stories of people being attacked for no reason on public transportation or on the street. These acts of violence are creating a constant sense of insecurity among the population. How many times have we seen videos of people being attacked for no reason while walking down the street? This kind of crime was unthinkable in Canada until a few years ago, but now it's part of everyday life. To make matters worse, the government's response has been weak. Laws are becoming more and more lenient towards criminals, and many people who commit serious crimes are released quickly and without significant consequences. This lack of firmness has led many citizens to lose faith in justice. The police, often bound by government regulations, cannot act with the necessary firmness that the situation requires. Citizens no longer feel safe leaving their homes. The feeling of being a potential victim of crime at any moment is changing the way people live in the country. Canada used to be a place where you could walk around at any time without fear. Today, many people avoid certain neighborhoods and prefer not to use public transportation, especially at night. Trust in public safety is waning, and with it, the idea that Canada is a safe haven for its inhabitants. Second, the worsening social crisis on the streets. In recent years, Canada has seen a worrying decline in the quality of urban life, especially in its largest cities. It's becoming more and more common for communities to be affected by the rising number of people living in precarious conditions, lacking access to basic resources to improve their situation. This phenomenon has transformed entire neighborhoods, raising concern among citizens and jeopardizing safety and coexistence in public spaces. One of the most alarming aspects of this crisis is the increasing number of homeless people, many of whom struggle to find stable jobs or access adequate health care. In cities like Vancouver and Toronto, makeshift camps and the occupation of public spaces have increased significantly. This is not just a humanitarian challenge, but also a challenge for communities trying to maintain a safe and functional environment for everyone. The government has implemented various strategies to try and mitigate the situation, such as opening support centers and social assistance programs. However, these initiatives have not been enough to contain the worsening crisis, and in many cases, the solutions seem to be only temporary or inadequate. As the number of homeless people rises, the impact on the quality of life for citizens becomes increasingly apparent. Stores, plazas, and public transportation have changed drastically in recent years, with scenes that were unthinkable in a country once synonymous with stability. Beyond the visible impact, this social crisis has created a climate of insecurity and apprehension among the population. Many wonder how long this situation will persist without real structural change. The reality is that if we don't intervene with effective measures, the decline of Canadian cities will continue, affecting not only the most vulnerable, but society as a whole. Thirdly, the outrageous taxes. They take more than half of your paycheck. Living in Canada is not just about facing safety issues and drugs on the streets, but it also means facing one of the highest tax burdens in the world. If you earn a decent salary, be prepared to see more than half of your hard-earned money disappear in taxes. The government doesn't think twice about taking a huge chunk of your pie to fund inefficient social programs and a growing, expensive bureaucracy. In Canada, taxes are everywhere. Not only do you pay a high percentage of your income, but you're also faced with sales taxes, provincial taxes, property taxes, and even luxury taxes. If you dream of buying a sports car or a yacht, you'll have to pay additional taxes just for the pleasure of being successful in life. The worst part is that despite all these taxes, the public services don't reflect the quality one would expect with so much money being collected. Many immigrants come to Canada with the idea of improving their quality of life, only to find that their salary is eaten up by taxes and the cost of living is extremely high. The reality is that most people are unable to save or get ahead financially because the government takes most of their income. Meanwhile, other countries have recognized the importance of attracting talent and capital by offering attractive tax incentives. Places like Dubai, Switzerland, and Singapore allow their citizens to keep more money in their pockets and invest it in their future. It's no surprise that more and more people are choosing to leave Canada, seeking better opportunities in economies that are more favorable to workers and entrepreneurs. Fourth point, the cost of living is outrageous. On top of the crazy high taxes, the cost of living in Canada has gone through the roof in the last few years. Buying a house in Toronto or Vancouver is basically impossible for most people. Housing prices have gone crazy, forcing families to live in tiny spaces or share apartments with strangers just to make ends meet. And it's not just housing, food, gas, utilities. Everything costs more here than in other developed countries. A simple trip to the grocery store can cost you double, even triple, what you'd pay in other countries. Inflation has eaten away at the middle class's purchasing power, and many feel like they're just working to survive with no real hope for a better future. The chances of saving money and getting ahead financially are slim to none. While in other countries you can achieve some level of financial security with a reasonable amount of effort, in Canada, many people feel like they're drowning even when they're working hard. And the government, well, they haven't done much to fix this mess. In fact, they seem determined to push policies that only make things worse. Instead of making it easier to build new homes to bring prices down, they create regulations that make development a nightmare. Instead of cutting taxes to give people a break, government spending keeps going up and up. The result is a country where more and more people feel trapped in a system that doesn't allow them to get ahead. Many are left with no choice but to move to a country where the cost of living is lower and hard work actually pays off. Fifth point, the free healthcare system is a disaster. One of the biggest myths about Canada is its free, high-quality healthcare system. Many immigrants come here dreaming of free medical care, but the reality is very different. Although the public system theoretically covers everyone, in practice, the waiting times for specialist visits and surgeries are endless. If you need a specialist, you may have to wait months, even years, before receiving a diagnosis or treatment. Many people in urgent need of medical care end up going to the United States or paying for private visits here in Canada simply because they can't wait that long. And the problem is not only the waiting times, but also the shortage of medical personnel. Every year, hundreds of doctors and nurses leave Canada in search of better salaries and working conditions in other countries. Meanwhile, the government continues to promote mass immigration without ensuring that the healthcare system has the resources to care for everyone. Hospitals are overcrowded, equipment is outdated, and the quality of care leaves much to be desired. What is sold as a universal and efficient system is actually a failed system, in which only the most patient or the luckiest manage to get the care they need. In sixth place, Canada is losing its talent and its entrepreneurs. Once a dream destination for entrepreneurs, Canada has become the opposite. Anyone who wants to start a business or invest in Canada faces a jungle of bureaucracy, outrageous taxes, and stifling regulations, which discourage even the most ambitious. Entrepreneurs who want to be innovative face obstacles at every step. Instead of making it easier to start new businesses, the government complicates the process with regulations that make it endless and expensive. It's not uncommon for Canadian startups to move to the United States or Europe in search of better opportunities, thus depriving the country of the chance to benefit from their growth. Add to that the fact that younger generations no longer see Canada as a place of well-being. Many talented young people in technology, finance, and other sectors are choosing to move to Dubai, Singapore, or even Latin America, where the cost of living is lower and taxes are lower. The result is a country that stagnates instead of progressing. While other emerging countries promote investment and innovation, Canada continues to lose its best minds due to policies that hinder personal and professional growth. Seventh point, extreme weather affects your mental health. Living in a country where temperatures are below freezing for most of the year is not for everyone. Canadian winters are long, dark, and cold, and this has a direct impact on the mental health of its residents. The lack of sunlight and the isolation that many people face during the harsh winter months can lead to seasonal depression, anxiety, and a constant feeling of tiredness. Many people think they can get used to the Canadian climate, but after a few years they feel its negative effects. Even just leaving the house in winter can be a challenge, with temperatures reaching 30 degrees below zero in some regions. Snow and ice limit outdoor activities and daily life becomes monotonous and difficult. The effects of extreme weather on mental health are evident. Cases of depression and mental illness are on the rise in Canada, and although cures exist, waiting times to receive care from the public health system are extremely long. For many, the only solution is to move to a country with a milder climate and a better quality of life. Eighth point. The politically correct culture has gotten out of hand. In recent years, Canada has become one of the most extreme countries in terms of political correctness. The government and institutions promote an agenda that, in many cases, forces ideas on people and punishes those who think differently. This has led to a climate of censorship and social division, where freedom of speech is increasingly limited. Universities, companies, and even government offices are filled with discussions about inclusion and diversity, but anyone who questions these policies can be criticized and punished. Instead of promoting open discussion, they've imposed a narrative where only one worldview is accepted, and those who disagree can face serious consequences, like losing their jobs or being pushed out of society. Even the education system is saturated with political correctness. From a young age, children are taught ideologies that many families don't agree with, and parents who try to push back are ignored. Pushing this agenda has created tension in society, where many people feel they can no longer speak freely without fear of repercussions. This climate of censorship and polarization has led many to wonder if Canada is still a country where different opinions are respected, or if it's becoming a place where only one ideology is accepted. Number 9. The government is getting more and more control over your life. The Canadian government is getting more and more involved in the lives of its citizens. New laws about censorship on social media and other platforms are limiting access to independent information, and the government has taken steps to crack down on certain types of speech in the name of public safety. One of the most worrying aspects is the control the government has over citizens' money. There have already been cases where the government has frozen the bank accounts of people who participated in protests or expressed views that go against the official line. The introduction of financial surveillance systems is a real threat to the privacy and economic freedom of citizens. Additionally, under the guise of fighting climate change, the government is imposing more and more regulations. In the near future, we could be facing restrictions on travel, additional taxes on certain products, and even limitations on the use of vehicles and energy. These measures not only attack individual freedom, but also make daily life more difficult for citizens. This level of control has led many people to reconsider their future in Canada. The idea of living in a country where the government has so much power over the private lives of its citizens is becoming less and less appealing, and many are looking for alternatives in places where individual freedom is still a priority. Number 10. There are countries that offer you a better life. Luckily, Canada is not the only option. In recent years, many people have chosen to move to countries with lower taxes, better weather, and more opportunities. Places like Mexico, Dubai, Switzerland, Portugal, and Singapore offer a more favorable environment for those seeking financial stability and a better quality of life. In these countries, taxes are lower, the cost of living is more affordable, and individual freedom is still highly valued. In addition, many of these destinations boast efficient healthcare systems, growing economies, and a safer environment than large Canadian cities. If you've ever thought about leaving Canada, now is the time to act. More and more people are making the decision to leave before the situation gets any worse. You don't have to be trapped in a country that offers fewer and fewer opportunities and more restrictions. The world is vast and opportunities abound for those seeking a better future. Canada is declining. The question is, will you just watch it decline, or will you make the decision to leave before it's too late? The reality is clear. Canada is no longer the safe and prosperous haven it once was. Rising crime rates, the opioid crisis, unbearable tax burdens, censorship, and the skyrocketing cost of living are pushing more and more people to seek their fortune elsewhere. The good news is that there are alternatives, places that offer more freedom, greater opportunities, and a better quality of life. The question is, do you want to passively watch the decline of Canada, or take control of your life and have the courage to start over?